He's such a great comedian on Saturday Night Live, Marcello Hernandez. He's got such a great grouping of characters that he brings every Saturday night. Sometimes I watch him on YouTube and the little shorts and that kind of thing. He's so funny, but this is exactly the kind of thing that we expect to hear from him. So, hey everybody, it's Lori from Numerology with Lori. Please like and subscribe. And if you think to click on that icon for the bell icon, click on all, not personalize. It will help the algorithm. Thank you so much. So let's take a look at Marcello Hernandez. His actual birth name is Marcello Andre Hernandez. So we've calculated his destiny path, his destiny number, his soul number, his personality number, the life path, and the pinnacles, as well as the maturity number. So the five core numbers are the destiny, the soul, the personality, the maturity, the life path. And then the pinnacles are slightly predictive. And then we have his personal years, which I find to be really interesting because they kind of coordinate with his numbers a little bit, or at least we can talk about the ones that coordinate. So yeah, let's talk. Like, if you guys want to take a screenshot of this, um, so Marcello Andre Hernandez, and then the life path numbers and everything else that's available there. So yeah, go ahead and take a screenshot. So let's start out. Let's take a look at Marcello. His destiny number is a 9, which I find to be very fascinating. Feels like he ends what doesn't serve him. That's pretty cool on his part to kind of know that about living, that if it's not serving him, he eliminates it. So, and that's good. That's a good thing. We may not see it, but I'm guessing when he feels like a sketch isn't working, he changes things up or he drops it. Exactly what we were just talking about. So if I wrote it down, chances are twice it's usually something that's absolutely true. So his soul number is a 2. Let's take a look at that real quick. So all of the vowels in his name added up, and I added those across from his first name, his middle name, and his last name, and I got a 2. So he's got a 202, which is pretty amazing. I am going to get release a separate video on the 0, but suffice it to say, it amplifies that. So when we are concerned about that 2, it pushes a little bit more of that energy, the 2 energy, onto him. So that's great. That's great. So he's super relationship oriented, very balanced, very cooperative, very harmonious. And he's really influenced by these um, uh, types of traits, these personality traits. So the audience relationship can be very important here. And that's what I think is so cool about the 2, is that the relationship isn't just a one-on-one. It's also about us. The way we see him, the way he feels about us, which I think is very positive. Um, so So yes, the relationship with the audience can be very important, and his soul number attracts this. That's really important. Relationships all through his life have been very important, which if you see anything about Marcelo Hernandez, you can check his Wikipedia page. You can just listen to some of his interviews on The Tonight Show or Jimmy Kimmel Live or anything like that. He really has a lot to say about his past, about his mother, about the way he grew up and that sort of thing. So, and it's in his comedy. Hmm, Interesting. So the personality number, sorry about that, messed that up, is a 7. So I find that to be interesting, but keep in mind, and I know we've mentioned this before, this is how other people see him. It's not really how he is, but people see that he is that way. So it feels like he's a spiritual person, which very well could be. I feel like that's what other people see. They think of him as spiritually uplifting, if that makes sense. Um, he is an aesthetic person. In again, this is what other people see, that they think that of him as more of an analytical, not really aesthetic. Um, they think of him as a research-oriented person. Even though this is how others see him, it does seem somewhat accurate. Interesting. So his life path is very interesting. Okay, let's take a look at that real quick. This is his birth date right here. It is 8/19/1997. So that said, all of those numbers add across, and this is why I add two different ways. Sometimes I add the numbers individually. So the 9 plus the 1 equals 10 equals 1. So I would add the 1, 8 plus 1, and then 1997 adds up to 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, a 6. So it would add up to an 8. So 8 plus 8 plus 1 gives us an 8. But the thing is I don't want to miss master numbers. So that's why I added all of these across and down to make sure that I wasn't missing a master or a karmic number. So in this case, his life path is a 44/8. That's a master number that doesn't get seen very often. It was towards the end of the 1900s. We won't see it that much right now. Let's see what happens. But how about that master number? That's really amazing. And the 44, if the master again and this is with any master number, if the master number gets to be too difficult for a person and they know it instinctively, it reduces. So in this case, the 4 plus the 4 equals 8. So it reduces to an 8. So he can work his life path as an 8. That's kind of the beauty of a master number because you can either have that very high reactionary information, or you can have just a regular balanced, low key um, number to work. And with him, it would be an 8, which is also very materialistic. It's very financial and business related. It's about power and control, but it's good for Marcello because I feel like he keeps his power. He's not giving it away anymore. Did he do that before? I'm not sure. That's an interesting thought process. I don't know why that just came to me, but he's not giving his power away. So let's talk a little bit about the 44. The 44 is about creating a spiritual, lasting legacy. It's a master of material and spiritual power. Wow. A master of material and spiritual power. So he has a lot of power to achieve his goals. And with his goals, he's going to be able to get anything he wants to. He's always going to have a very spiritual nature to it. Always. It's just there. And we'll talk about his pinnacles a little bit further, and I think you'll see why. So let's see, this is intense. Yes, we just talked about that, but I think that he's up to it. I really do. I mean, he's shown that. At least from what I can see, it looks as if he's up to working that either the 8 or the 44. So let's see where that goes. Anyway, his maturity number is the life path plus the destiny number. So you add those together and we get the maturity number. So let's check this out. The maturity, the life path and the destiny added to an 18. So the maturity number is 8 plus 1 equals 9. So the maturity number is a 9. That's fascinating. I'm sorry, 1 plus 7. Oh boy, did I mess that up. Let's forget the 9. He's an 8 maturity number, which I really like a lot. I'm going to go with what I read here. The 8 tells me that he will build his financial success through power and control of his talents. I like that. I really like that. I wrote that down separately. And 9 times, that's why I like writing the script because a lot of times I get things in writing that I don't necessarily feel in, well, or it's not so much that I don't feel it, but I get it easier when I write it. Let's put it that way. So in this case, I like the fact that he is going to achieve that financial success through the power and control of his talents. That's really fascinating. Business decisions, they work well under this number. Let's go, Marcello. Let's go. This is awesome. So, can we talk about his pinnacles and challenges for a minute? So, I'm going to show you real quick. Here's the pinnacles and challenges right over here. And they start with this first one, which was a 1-7. Now, that was in the first period of his life. So, if you calculate the ages, and each person is slightly different depending upon their life path number. With Marcello, he goes up until he's 28 with his first pinnacle. So, that first pinnacle was a 1, and the challenge was a 7. Interesting to me. Um, if he had it's hard to say whether or not he may have been lonely in his childhood. Now, he doesn't necessarily talk about that. He talks about positive things, which makes sense. You know, it makes sense that a comedian would talk a little bit more about positive aspects of their childhood, but it feels like the loneliness was there for him. I'm not sure why. Um, it may have made him shy and possibly secretive. That's interesting. And again, this goes with the 7. He also had the power and the strength to be a leader because he had the 1 energy. So that really did him a service with the 7 challenge, having the 1 as a pinnacle. That's kind of interesting. So I like the fact that it provided him with the self-confidence he needed, that 1, in order to sort of overcome the energy of the 7. Now, I'd like to tell you that he had a very spiritual nature, which the 7 is about spirituality. He may have had that towards the end of that pinnacle, when he was in his 20s, between 20 and 28. Um, he may have started the process of growing spiritually. We know that he was probably a Christian because it's very, very, I believe he talks about it. And it's also very, that's part of his culture, which is not a bad thing. But yeah, culturally, it does. If there are secretive things happening there, if there are things that maybe shouldn't be let out to the public eye, he's not going to talk about that yet. So, um, anyway, so now he's in the second pinnacle. So let's take a look at that real quick. So the second pinnacle is a 9 and a 7. So where's he going to go with that 7? I want to know. I'm curious because now he's had the experience of having a 7. He doesn't know anything different. So is it possible that he's going to continue in the vein that he's been? I don't see that. I feel like he is getting out of the shyness that he had. And I feel like he might delve into the spiritual nature of his being. Interesting. Hmm. I'm not sure. I don't know that the secretive, whatever secrets he was holding, if any, maybe he's fine with that. I'm just not sure. So my thoughts are that he's ending what doesn't serve him and completing ventures successfully. And that's kind of apparent in what he's doing. So he's ending what doesn't serve him. I'm not sure exactly where that's going, but that's the beauty of the nine is that's what happens. You become a finisher, and that's what he's doing. He's completing sketches. He's a writer for Saturday Night Live. He does sketches, so he's part of the whole inner workings, which is great. I like that for him. And I think that this is a good moment. And keep in mind with that seven as the challenge, even though it's challenging to him, he knows how to work the seven because he's done it for the first 28 years of his life. So he has become analytical. He's become he researches things. So when he comes to writing something and getting something completed, he's already got the background for it. He knows what to do, which is terrific. So, let's see what else I have. The seven feels normal to him. Yes, we did just talk about this. And though the loneliness is better, the secrets are still there. And I wrote that down, so that tells me something. I'm not sure what we're going to see as far as the secrets. Do I have some ideas? Yeah. Do you have some ideas? Maybe. So let me know in the comments what you're thinking. He has an opportunity to grow in a spiritual way, which is very exciting to me. It seems to be close to the master number 44. Mm, yes. So with that 44 energy, he is working this seven as his challenge, and this is bringing the two things closer together. So maybe he's not always going to be able to work the master 44. Maybe sometimes it's going to be worked as an eight, but he's going to have more times now where he's going to be able to work that 44. That's very exciting. It's creating spiritual power for him. I just have no other way to look at it than that. So, anyway, his third pinnacle is a one again. Now that's the pinnacle. So let's just take a look at that. There's the pinnacle. And the challenge is a zero. What does that mean? So some numerologists think that a zero is significant of an old soul. In this particular case, I'm not quite sure because there's only one of them. If there were two, I would say let's give that some thought process. But I think in this particular case, it just means that he is either all or nothing. He can totally be, he can use anything as a challenge, or he can treat it like I'm a leader. I'm going somewhere. I've got things happening here. I'm focusing on my career. I don't need to be worrying about things that aren't working for me. So he might be letting all of it go. So that's interesting to me. So the free will aspects are all in play, meaning he can, again, like we just talked about, he can either stick with it or not do it at all. Does that make sense? Like the challenge is doesn't have to be there at all. It's sort of a dealer's choice. I like that concept. I wrote it down, so it tells me that means something. So the one brings on those leadership abilities again, and he'll work it differently at this age than he did when he was a young person. He of course he exuded self-confidence, and in this particular time period, he's going to be very self-confident. Yeah, it is kind of amazing. It is amazing. So the last pinnacle, and this is interesting, is a five. So there it is here, a five. And the challenge, whoop, is that a two? Yes, it is a two. That's interesting. So that doesn't happen. Let's see, 28 and 9 is 37, 46. That doesn't happen until he's in his late 40s. So we're not going to worry about it so much right now. But I will say that it's quite a change for Marcello. In fact, the five pinnacle is all about change, it's about freedom, it's about adventure. It is completely different than where he's been. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not so different that he doesn't recognize it. It's because that one challenge was very, or I'm sorry, the one pinnacle was very good for giving him leadership, but this five pinnacle is giving him some different. Is he willing to change? I think so. I think at that point in life, most of us get to the point where we just say, "Okay, I'm allowed now." Does that make sense? We kind of dealt with, being our parents' child, being new in the work scene up until that age, and then all of a sudden we had some new things happen, and he's thinking, "I'm allowed now." That's very, very possible. So again, change, change. What could that mean? Freedom, adventure. What do those things mean for a person with a five? And he's got a two challenge. That's really interesting. Sounds like new things are on his horizon. The challenge is a two. This includes relationships, balance, and harmony. So I'm wondering if he's moving into other areas of comedy and away from his audience gigs. Maybe. Maybe he's moving into TV. Maybe he's moving into movies. Maybe he's moving behind the scenes more to try his hand at coordinating these kind of comedy events. It's all very interesting to think about. And it's possible. It's all very possible for him. And knowing that he has a five challenge or five pinnacle and a two challenge, the two is about that relationship. So keep that in mind. That's very interesting. Um, okay, so let me look at this again. So no matter what, we look forward to wherever Marcello goes in life. I find him to be, I mean, I can spend a week or two just delving into his comedy bits. I love them. I'm sure it will be hilarious and very creative, no matter what he does. So yeah, I hope that that worked for you. I hope that you enjoyed that about Marcello, and thank you very much. I will see you guys on the next video.